In this short video, we'll learn how to create a muscle that can be replicated many times to be used all over a character to create muscle deformation. To be able to create muscle, we don't need any type of plugins or exterior tool. We're going to use the bone tools, and we're going to take a look at one of the properties of those bones that you can use to do squash and stretch and give the impression of muscle bulge. We're going to go here and select create bones, and I'm going to go into top view and create one bone and one end here. And this end, if we move it around, you'll see that right now the length of this one is frozen, and it doesn't when we try to move it closer, it doesn't let us do it. So we're going to grab this bone here, and we're going to go to the complete bottom, and we're going to turn off freeze length. So if I grab this end here and move it around, you'll see that now I'm able to move it closer and further to affect the length of this guy here. If we select it again, this bone, and we turn on squash, what's going to happen is that if we grab this one, you'll see that we have the bulge effect of the bone, and it's actually it's keeping its volume, so we are bulging it when we get closer to this point here. So we're going to use that property to create the muscle effect. You can close the bone tools and grab the bone here. And one other thing that not a lot of people know about is that this is a bone, but it's like any other object in Max where you can apply modifiers to it. So we're going to go here in the modifier list, and we're going to apply an edit poly modifier. And we're going to grab the edge here, and we're going to shape it up so that it looks a bit more like a muscle and not a bone. So I'm going to ring my selection for this edge to select everything around it. And we're going to go here in connect and select maybe 3 times. We don't want to create too much geometry right away. And we're going to grab the loop in the middle. So just grab one edge and loop it. And what we're going to do, we're also going to use soft selection. And we're going to adjust the fall off so that it reaches the end, but not too much, like when we get about that color. And I'm going to go in local transformation mode and just scale the middle of that bone here. All right, like so. And now we have more of a shape that we like, and we can also scale this one here, and I'm going to turn off soft selection now and readjust all the loops separately. So I'm going to loop this here and maybe scale it down like so, and maybe the other end will be no, that's all right. So we're going to be pretty good like so. Maybe loop this one and scale it up just like so. All right, now we want to refine a bit on the side. So what we can do is grab the edge here, loop it, and then ring all of this and just add one more edge using the connect tool, and we're going to add only one segment, and then grab the loop here. That's hard to work at a low resolution like so. Alright, so just pull this one out, loop this one, pull this one a little bit up, this one, loop it, pull it out, select this one, loop it, and pull it down. So we've got more of a round shape like so. It doesn't have to be perfect, just to get the idea. Then on top of this, if you want to have a really refined muscle effect, you can apply a turbo smooth. You don't have to, but it's going to look much better and much softer. But if you have a very, very complex rig, you may have to turn it down when you're doing your animation and turn it on at the end of your animation process. So if you take a look at what we have now, we've got this muscle shape that is getting deformed. To go a bit further in the look of the muscle, we can also apply a UV map modifier. We can apply cylindrical mapping, and we're going to go at the bottom here and align it in Y, and just do a fit so that it fits the shape of the bone or the muscle. Then we're going to go into material editor, and very simple setup. We're going to apply the first slot to the. I'm going to bring material editor so we can see it better. So I'm going to drag the first slot here on the muscle. In the diffuse slot, we're going to put a gradient, and the gradient we're going to drag the white here and drop it on the color number 1, and grab color number 2 and just put it to a reddish color, and just turn on show in viewport, and we get that muscle look. Alright, so when this is done, I'm going to turn off edge faces, and you can see that we get the muscle effect, like so. And what we want to do, we want to put that muscle between 2 dummy objects, so that we can attach those dummy objects to any point or any bone that we want to attach it to in our character. To do that, very simply, we're going to go into the helpers here, and we're going to create a first dummy about this size. Size doesn't matter very much, but just make it about this size in comparison to the muscle. And we're going to align this to the muscle itself in X, Y, and Z. And we're going to align it to the pivot point, and also we're going to align the orientation. So now we've got this dummy object right there. We're going to shift and copy it and bring it there. Just make a copy, not an instance. And we're going to align it with the end here. And the same thing, X, Y, and Z, pivot point, and also orient it align it in the orientation. All right. So now what we want is that whenever this dummy object moves, we want the end here to move with it. So I'm going to grab the end. I'm going to apply a constraint, a position constraint, and I'm going to link it to the dummy object. So now that when the dummy moves, you'll see that the end is moving, but the bone or the muscle is not following the end there, and that's a property of the bone there. So we're going to go here and adjust that. So we're going to go in constraint, and we're going to take a look at constraint, and we're going to make it always look at this dummy object. And when you've got the look at here, I just turn off the view line length to 0, so we don't see that blue line whenever it comes up. So now we grab this dummy object, and you can see that it's working pretty good. And the last thing we want to do is that whenever this object is moving, or this dummy object is moving, we want the muscles to move with it. So we're going to grab the muscle, and we're just going to link it like so to the dummy object there. So now when this dummy object is moving around, you'll see that the muscle is bulging. And same thing, if we grab this dummy object and move it around, the muscle is going to bulge as well. We don't need that end effector here, so I'm just going to right click and say hide selection. So now what we have is two dummy object that controls the shape of the muscle. And if you want to duplicate that muscle, be careful. Just go into the layer manager so we can see all the objects. And I'm grabbing all the objects here, select them, and when they're selected, you just make a copy, and you can say, let's say that we want 10 muscles. We're going to go ahead up here to number of copies 9, and it's going to copy it, 9 times, and now you've got 9 muscles that you can bring around, and they're all going to be reacting to their proper dummy object, and you can put them into your bone structure of your character. Just to give you an idea of how it would look with the bone structure, let's just grab again the character tools, bone tools, and I'm going to create a very simple IK setup, just 2 bones here and an end, and we're going to grab the I'm going to close the create bone. Grab the first bone here, animation, IK solver, history independent solver. I'm going to grab the end here. Now we've got this goal that allows us to move it around. And what we want to do is we want to attach a muscle to create the bicep effect. So I'm going to grab the dummy object here, bring it to this point here. This muscle is maybe a little too big for that, but I'm going to bring that here. And now we've got 2 points, or 2 points where we want the muscles to work, like so. And then it's just a matter of taking this dummy object and assigning it to a bone. So grab the link tool, grab this dummy object, link it to this bone, grab this dummy object and link it to this bone, like so. Now what we have is that this dummy will be following the movement of this bone, and this dummy will be following the movement of this bone, and you can refine that if you want to, but now that's what we're going to get. We're going to get extension and compression of the muscle as the bone structure is moving. So that's how you create muscles in Max, and you can add as many as you want. And if you go on the website, you'll see probably rigs that have a lot of muscles into them, so you can use them as guides to take a look at how muscles are attached to different bones in the human body.